How do you keep ICE out of your city when Trump wants to send in the goons? How do you actually reduce crime? How do you actually reduce homelessness? Los Angeles is far from perfect, but the numbers have been improving under Mayor Karen Bass, and she's up for a fight with Trump's ICE goons. So let's talk to her. Now I am joined by the mayor of Los Angeles, California, Karen Bass. Mayor, so good to talk to you. You know, I'm really interested in the issues of homelessness and crime, partially
Sure.
because I think sometimes Democrats are not great at talking about those issues. I was
Oh,
looking at the data from Los Angeles.
mhm.
Crime has been declining in Los Angeles, and you've also seen a decline in unsheltered homelessness. Now, I'm not going to pretend that everything's been solved. Cities of millions of people have difficult problems to solve. But I'm interested in like what have you done, especially because the narrative from the president about Los Angeles is that it's this, crime infested, homelessness plagued place and no one cares about improving. What practical steps have you taken there?
Absolutely. And when I hear him describe Los Angeles, I have no idea what he's talking about or where he's talking about. But let me just say that, on day one, when I took office, I actually didn't even begin at City Hall. I went straight to our emergency management department and declared the city to be in a state of emergency because of homelessness. In Los Angeles, we had 40,000 people sleeping on our streets, and three, four of them don't wake up every morning. So that to me was horrific. I absolutely believed it was a humanitarian crisis. And so my goal on day one was to get people off the street and get them into housing, not shoo them away, not hide them, house them. And
Mm.
when you house them, address what led to their life falling apart, that they're on the street, and what do you need to heal them so that then they will be successful in permanent housing. So that is what we have done. But I will tell you that we have a system that has been dysfunctional for over 3 decades. And so while I am getting people off the street, I was also trying to diagnose what the heck was at the root of the dysfunction and how to change the system at the same time, where we have succeeded, but not to the scale that we need to be, of course, but of getting people off the street. Where we are still in process and have so much further to go is transforming a 30 plus year dysfunctional system.
There
At the
are
same time,
Sorry, Mayor, I was going to say,
yes,
in
yeah.
terms of that system that, of course, predates your tenure, what was the missing piece before you were there that you think led to the 30 years of the problem?
Well, one piece, and it took me a while to find this out. Los Angeles made a policy decision, I guess maybe 20 plus years ago, that the focus should be on building housing. Now,
Mm,
I agree with that 100%. The problem is that in our city, that system is dysfunctional too, in
mm,
terms of the building process. So, for example, residents in LA tax themselves to address building the housing, 10,000 units they were going to build. Well, they did get it built, but it took way over 10 years to do that while they were letting people stay on the street and focusing just on building. Then homelessness exploded. Now, let me compare that to New York. New York early on built their system where they have interim housing. They didn't just focus on bricks and mortar building. They bought buildings. They got people off the street right away. So where we have 40 plus thousand people who are unhoused in Los Angeles, New York has 80, but 97% of them are not on the street. They're in
mm.
some form of interim housing or shelter. We chose not to do that. And I understand why. It was well intentioned ideology, which is a rigid interpretation of housing first. Now, I'm a big proponent of housing first, but to me, housing first does not necessarily mean permanent housing or something that you build. I think that we should have built a system of interim housing where someone could stay for a year, year and a half, or 2 years while something was being built. The other mistake, fundamental mistake, was not focusing or even understanding the type of support systems, services that people needed to be successful. So what you have, and this part continues today, is people being housed but being churned in and out, in and out, in and out, because they're today still not provided the adequate support that is needed.
Let's talk about that a little bit. I saw an internal audit that found that 15 to 20% of participants in what I believe I'm accurately referring to as the motel program, but I'll give you an opportunity to
That's right.
correct that if that's wrong. 15 to 20% of the people in the motel program end up back on the street, either because of the strict rules or lack of immediate mental health support, which is a key part of kind of breaking the cycle here. What can be done about that?
Well, let me just tell you that is partially true. Let me explain why. And actually, I believe the number is higher.
Okay.
So the way the city does this is, and this, the city does not provide services. The county does that. So we get people off the street. We have contracts with probably over 15 community-based organizations. They are responsible for the people once they're off the street. None of those organizations have the capacity to provide the type of services that are needed. The real truth of the matter is that a percentage of those people wind up back on the street, but we don't exactly know where they are. So
Hmm.
some people are on the street, some people have reunited with their families. A number of people who are unhoused actually work, and they might have reached the point where they could do a first and last month's rent. So several fundamental problems. The system does not evaluate itself. So we don't know where these people go. I think it's higher than 15%. And the community-based organizations don't have the capacity to provide the services. Fortunately, I have a healthcare background. I worked in the emergency room. I've worked with unhoused patients. I have a different view of this, I think, than most people. This might be an overgeneralization for me, but I believe that a lot of people that have been in this field for a long time know housing, but they don't necessarily know the people, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
Because everybody talks about mental health and substance abuse. I'm concerned about diabetes and cancer and high blood pressure. All of those things really can lead to people being homeless when their health care collapses and they can't afford, and they wind up missing work because they're not taken care of. And so I think that there are a lot of reasons why people wind up on the street again. But the truth of the matter is, we're not sure what happens to them because the system is not in place to track them.
Let me shift gears a little bit. At the
Mhm,
State of the Union address,
mhm.
President Trump vowed, in whatever it means for him to vow to do something, he vowed to make Los Angeles safe ahead of the 2028 Olympics. Now, you've had your confrontations with his ideas of National Guard deployment and other interventions in Los Angeles. What do you expect he is going to try? And what is your plan of action there?
Well, I think, I mean, we know the president pontificates. Um, I think that what his plan is there will be military involvement in the Olympics.
Mm.
I actually do not believe that is unusual, but to me, that does not mean troops walking up and down our street. I think the president is very invested in the Olympics and the World Cup being successful, and he knows that having troops march up and down our street is not the type of environment that you want to have for the world to come here. And so I imagine he's going to have a big presence during the Olympics, as most presidents do around the world. But I consider that blustering speech that we're used to from the president.
Do you see that bluster as a different category than what we saw in Los Angeles over? Now I'm losing track of when it was. I guess it was early last
June,
summer, June. Okay,
June.
you see these as different things. It's not just more of the same.
I don't see them as the same thing at all. I don't. But here's my concern, though.
Yeah.
Back to what we were just talking about.
Hmm.
If you go to our Skid Row area, you are literally talking about in a concentration of about 20 blocks, you're talking about over 4,000 unhoused people concentrated there.
Yeah.
Okay. So even though I am proud of the fact that for the first time, by the way, and I should have said this earlier, street homelessness has decreased by 17%. I again have been focusing on the encampments around the city and reducing those, but not by shooing people away. Here's my concern is that the volume and the scale in the Skid Row area is very, very difficult because we need to have thousands of units all at the same time. So what I'm trying to work on right now is how do we have a project that brings in that we can address the scale? Because what I don't want to see happen is the troops come to Skid Row and round everybody up in a alligator Alcatraz type facility.
Yes.
I don't want to see that happen. So I'm very concerned about that. I'm not so much concerned about troops marching up and down our streets. Like, they did a little bit in June. June 6th was the day we were invaded.
I'm the encampments. I'm curious, sometimes I'm the sort of person that I want data. I sometimes think that
Me too.
lone anecdotes don't
Me too.
necessarily give us an idea of what solutions are, but sometimes
Right.
anecdotes are at least interesting to get some information. I have a
Right.
friend who lives in LA who had
Mm-hmm.
a two tent encampment develop on his front lawn.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh,
he
it's front
involved
lawn?
on his front lawn. He
Oh my God.
involved he's on a corner, so it's like it's sort of an attractive little space there.
Yeah.
He involved the police, and I wasn't there, right, Mayor? So I don't know exactly what he was told. But long and short, the police didn't help him as he saw it.
Right.
What is the prevailing law in situations like that?
Okay, so the law has changed. When the
Mm,
Supreme Court upheld Grant's pass, now the police could technically make that encampment move.
mm,
Prior to that, in our city, and I'm pretty sure in our state too, but definitely in our city,
yeah.
the police can't just do that. And that is because of a series of lawsuits that advocates waged, which it is not that I disagree with those lawsuits, but I wish that there was more focus on a solution because no one wants it in. I don't care how big your heart is or what your beliefs are. Nobody wants an encampment on their front lawn. And but I'm going to tell you the secret to encampments. Number one, we have an outreach team, all with lived experience. But the secret is you take everybody together. That was not what the city was doing before. They were picking individuals out and leaving the encampments there. And I think a lot of people did not respect the fact that encampments are small communities. The reason why we don't have a problem getting rid of the encampments is because we house everybody. As a matter of fact, the problem we have is that when we go to remove an encampment, we'll count ahead of time like there's 15 people, but then on moving day, there's 25. Why?
Ah.
Because unhoused people have cell phones. They call their friends and say they're really going to house us. They're not just moving us. So we have learned that we have to have extra rooms when we go resolve an encampment.
We've been speaking with the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass. Mayor Bass, really appreciate your time. Thanks for talking to me, and we will be in touch with you.
Yes, and next time let's talk about crime
Yes,
because
absolutely.
because Democrats do not do that well, and I would love to engage with you on that.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, bye bye.